you want to invite to your next slumber party? Jason, Freddy, Michael, or just maybe the Driller Killer?
Sleep shirts with a flair for horror. Rock it out with Freddy, chill out with Jason, and pig out with Michael. Nighty nightmares, add some spare to your next slumber party.
Announcing Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts, exclusively available at deaditesondeck.com.
Hey, Ozzy, we miss you, man. But we know you are never truly gone. We can hear you speak every time we listen to your music. We can feel your energy and memories of seeing you perform. We can still sense your passion, your light still burns brightly, even in the darkness of our loss. Hey, Ozzy, we lost a rock legend, but heaven gained a rock angel when you were called home. Hey, Ozzy, we miss you, man. But we know you are never truly gone. We can hear you speak every time we listen to your music. We can still sense your passion, your light still burns brightly, even in the darkness of our loss. Hey, Ozzy, we lost a rock legend, but heaven gained a rock angel when you were called home. Hey, Ozzy, we lost a rock legend, but heaven gained a rock angel when you were called home.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to the Ozzy Tribute Show, plus the Trick or Treat Watch Along for those of you that are able to stay for that as well. I was almost late for my own stream because, as you can see, I have created a t-shirt design for tonight. And, you know, if any of you guys or gals decide that you'd like to have a shirt like this, I'll be glad to make you one. They'll be $20 plus $6 shipping. You can send it. They're not up on the Deadites on Deck shop just yet, but if you want one right now, you can send $20 plus $6 shipping to my PayPal email, which I've put in the chat right now, and I'll be glad to make you one. Now, this was a trial run, and if you're really looking closely at this, you may see some white areas around the logo. Well, that's small potatoes compared to what I did earlier, but I'm not going to go into that. But this was the first time I did the sublimation heat transfer vinyl. And what that allows me to do is to sublimate an image on either 100% cotton or a dark shirt. And I really wanted this to be on a black shirt. I messed up the black shirt, folks, hence me having this green one on. But that's another story for another day. I also have the Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts available in a variety of designs, including there is an Ozzy design. And if you would like the Ozzy design, I would be glad to make that for you. Those are $30 plus $6 shipping. And you, again, you can tell me that you want one of those, and you can send the money to this email address. That's my PayPal email address. And those are only in one color, the Nighty Nightmare sleep shirts. They are pink with gray sleeves, like heather gray sleeves. Hey, Jordan. You say I'm just a dreamer. Yeah, very, very aptly put, as this is an Ozzy tribute. Hey, Gory Tiger. I'm hoping we have several people in here. I do know that it's SummerSlam. Sorry, folks that are huge wrestling fans. I know a lot of you will not be joining me tonight, but you know, the great thing is you can watch this on the replay. But to get back to the shirts and the sleep shirts, if you want any of the shirts that I've been advertising, I made a Spooky Dog and Sebastian Meet Ozzy Osbourne or Meet Ozzy shirt. And if you want to get one of those are $20 plus $6 shipping and handling. And you can tell me what color you want, what size you need, and please include your name and your mailing address so I know where to ship it to. Okay. And if you got any questions, you know, you can ask me. You know, I'm on streams fairly often, so you can always, you know, ask me, hey, Dana, you know, you were mentioning this or that or the other, and I'm kind of interested, but I need to know a little bit more. Okay. So to get back to SummerSlam, honestly, folks, you know, there's probably going to be some boos and hisses from people that are huge wrestling fans. I'm not against wrestling, but I don't stay up on everything wrestling related. So I had no idea that SummerSlam was this weekend when I planned the Ozzy tribute. And those of you that are not wrestling fans will say, who cares, you know? But I have several friends that, and my husband, who are into wrestling, that some people watch it religiously. My husband does not. He doesn't watch it religiously, but he watches it, right? And so I had one friend tell me that, oh, I'm sorry, Dana, SummerSlam is this weekend, or I would at least be in the chat. And that was my good friend CK from Dead Pit Radio. And, you know, I talked to Uncle Bill, and Uncle Bill could be working this weekend. So we'll just have to see, you know. I'm crazy, Jordan. How so? How am I crazy? Oh, okay. That's how, okay. I get what you're saying now. I thought you were just saying I was crazy. But anyway, we're going to get started with the Ozzy tribute part of this here in just a few minutes, and then that's going to be followed by the watch along for those of you, like I said, that can stay for that. Now, if you're watching SummerSlam, if you're working, if you're, you know, just can't be in here tonight, but you really want to watch it, well, hey, you can watch it on the replay. Nothing says you got to be in here live. I wanted some people to be in here live because it's more fun. People can share their Aussie stories and stuff like that, and we can reminisce and all that stuff, to talk about favorite Aussie songs, favorite Aussie performances, or whatever we want to talk about, right? Um, but I did want to show y'all the whole design for this shirt. I made these. I came up with this logo last night, and like I said, you can have your own for $20 plus $6 shipping. Okay. All right. So um, I want to, and as usual, I'm hesitant about doing this because this has backfired on me in the past. But sometimes I figure this is the easiest way for people to be able to join me live on the stream. Okay. So if you want to um, join me live on camera and be talking about some Aussie stuff, I have no problem with that. So all you got to do is click on that link. That will put you backstage. If I don't see you backstage, just please tell me in the chat, okay? The only prerequisite I have about you joining me live on the stream, the main one, is that you behave, okay? Because there was an incident that happened a few years back when I would put the link in the chat for everybody to be able to access instead of just certain people, right? So someone came in backstage, and thank goodness I didn't just click and add them, because that would have been a disaster. Because I think my husband may be trying to come on here. Steve, is that you? I can barely see you. Put something in the chat, please. I'm pretty sure that's my husband. I'm going to go ahead and add him because he's not answering me here. Okay. Okay. Steve, you're shirtless.
I'm in bed.
Well, as long as you're not completely naked, we're okay.
I'm sideways.
I can hear myself echoing on there. Where'd you go?
That
I can hear myself echoing a little bit, but that's okay. Hi, Desiree.
Just thought
So
I'd say hey.
yeah, are you gonna stay on here for a little bit, or are you just coming on to say hey?
The ladder.
Okay. The poet says all aboard the crazy train. Yep. Uh, Jordan says Fozzie is built like a brick shit house. I think he's actually Dawsey. You're Dawsey, right, Steve?
I don't know.
It looks like Dawsey to me.
I'll take whatever.
But I don't know if that's a compliment or not, is it, Steve? That you're built like a brick shit house.
Well, it's probably the way I'm laying, and but yeah, it's better than that's good, I guess.
We're gonna start singing that brick house song, and only it's gonna be he instead of she.
That's gonna be shit house. Da, 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 da.
Okay, but anyways,
I'll get off here.
well, you can stick around if you want to, Steve, for a little bit. Do you have any Aussie reminiscences? Did you ever go to a concert that Ozzy was at?
No. No.
Steve went to a lot of concerts in his youth, but some of them he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
I know at least one of them he doesn't remember.
Yeah, I didn't go to any Ozzy concerts.
Would you have liked to, though?
I don't know.
But I think Steve likes some of Ozzy's music, though. I mean, who doesn't?
It looks like I've got some weird problem. Like my neck
I'm sorry, I got.
there. But anyway, I'll get
Well,
off here.
Steve, thank you. And I mean, if you want to come back later, unless you're asleep, you're welcome to.
All right, peace out.
All right. So y'all got a little bit of Steve. I'm going to go ahead and hit remove there, because I think he was on other. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The only prerequisite I have for people joining me live is that you behave. And I was explaining that this person came backstage. I didn't know him from Adam. And like I said, it's a good thing that I did not click and add them without, you know, waiting a little bit, because this person was showing certain body parts on their webcam that they should not have been. Okay. It wasn't just like my shirtless husband. This was bad. Okay. So we do not want that to happen anytime. But especially not tonight when I'm trying to do a proper Aussie tribute. Uh, yes, Jordan, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So if you can get on here and you can behave, but here's something else. If I don't know you, so I was hesitant because I could barely see my husband's face at first, and I wasn't sure. I was like, "Is that Steve?" You know, but I took a chance on that one, and it was Steve. Thank goodness. But also if other people are in the stream and I'm on the stream with you, be respectful of everybody else in the stream. Don't be rude. Don't say mean things to either me or people in the chat or other people on the stream, or you will have to leave and you won't be asked back and you won't be allowed back. Okay. If you show any body parts that should not be shown publicly, you will be kicked out and you won't be asked back. If you come on here and you play other people's live streams very loudly when other people are talking and blast music, I mean, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to play any kind of music on this stream, because YouTube will get me for copyright issues. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it's also I can't talk. Disrespectful to others, me and others, for you to be blasting anything, whether it's another live stream or whatever. That, believe it or not, folks, that has happened to me in the past. And if you want to go to another live stream, go to another live stream, but don't blast that live stream on mine. Jordan, you're asking if I'm on Discord. I do have a Discord for Dead Ice on Deck. And I'm on other people's Discord. So yes, I guess the answer to that is you're going to try a flying backflip. But anyway, so now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and, like, before I lose everybody, because I got 6 or 7 people right now. If you want to, if those of you that are in here want to start sharing any, favorite Ozzy performances, have any of y'all ever got to meet Ozzy? If we're all here to support each other, because I feel like the passing of Ozzy was something that kind of made a lot of people feel like they've been punched in the gut, even though we didn't know him personally. I came to realize, a little too late. I liked a fair amount of Ozzy's songs, and I had seen some of his performances. Had never seen him live, never got to meet him or anything like that. But whenever it sunk in that Ozzy was no longer around, Ozzy was not going to be performing, nobody was going to be able to meet Ozzy in the future, it just became very sad. So, I'm not meaning this to sound corny. I'm being serious about this. We can all support each other. It's okay if someone cries. It's okay if someone's sad about it. I, for one, am not going to mock anybody for being sad. So what if Ozzy was a famous person? He was a flesh and blood human being. He had a wife. He had kids. He had millions and millions and millions of fans that loved him and loved what he did. That is a great loss. It's a great loss to his family, most of all. So, I, for one, I'm going to have respect for anybody that says, hey, I miss Ozzy. Hey, that hit me really hard. I cried when I found out Ozzy passed away. Those are all valid feelings, folks. Those are all valid emotions. And don't let anybody ever tell you different. Right? Jordan, you say you've only read one book. It was I'm Ozzy. I would like to read that one. I haven't had a chance to read that one. Was it good? So, hopefully people will share some stories tonight. It was good. Okay, I'm going to have to check it out. But I really want us to get some conversation going. And if we don't have much conversation here in a few minutes, because I don't want to be sitting here staring out at you guys and, we don't have anything to talk about. I can share my Ozzy stories in the meantime. We are going to be doing a watch along for Trick or Treat, which was the 1987 film starring Mark Price. And also Ozzy was on this, and Gene Simmons from Kiss. Gene Simmons plays Nuke, a DJ at the local radio station. And Ozzy plays the Reverend Aaron Gilstrom, which is a really funny, role for him, I think, because it was just completely opposite of who Ozzy was as a person and as a performer too, because he was this straight-laced, uptight reverend who was saying all these people are sick that make this kind of music, and they want to make everybody that listens to their music as sick as they are. And I just, knowing what I know about Ozzy, I just laugh every time I watch that. Now, the first time I watched Trick or Treat, I didn't know anything about Ozzy, really. I was a kid, basically. And I had probably heard the name Ozzy Osbourne. I had heard band Black Sabbath. I'd heard these things, but it didn't really sink in at the age I was in. Because in 1986, and I probably didn't watch Trick or Treat exactly in 1986. It was probably, I don't know, maybe a year or so after that. So I was born in 1976, folks. Ozzy had already been performing for several years by the time I came along, by the time I was born. So it's just, one of those things, some kids grow up with that kind of music. My parents, I'm sad to say, were not Ozzy Osbourne fans. So I did not hear about Ozzy. Some of you folks, your parents were probably huge Ozzy fans. You grew up listening to Ozzy. You grew up hearing about Ozzy. And so that wasn't the case in my household. But as time went along, I was like, oh, that's Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, that's Gene Simmons playing Nuke. And so I think I gained a second layer of appreciation for the film Trick or Treat as not only a horror film, but as a music related film. And, I would hear stories about Ozzy on and off throughout the years. Everybody's heard the story of Ozzy biting the head off a bat, a real bat, during a performance. And, you probably heard Ozzy tell the story of he had no idea. He thought it was a rubber bat. That he said people were always throwing stuff up on stage. So we heard the stories and all of that, but did any of us really know Ozzy? No. Even if we met him, we wouldn't have known him. But his family knew him, and his family loved him. And we are all fans. We're the rock family of fans. But the sad thing for me, and it really hit me a few days after Ozzy's passing, was that Dana, you spent so much time not listening to this man's music as much as you could, and he put a lot of great music out there. I mean, just if you just listen to the lyrics, um, about like lines like um, learn to love and forget how to hate. I mean, those are out of the heavy metal rock thing. Those are lovely lyrics. Those are emotion filled lyrics. That's one person telling another person or a large group of people, hey, you need to learn how to love and forget how to hate, folks. And so songs, as noise filled as they might seem to somebody that's on the outside, that's not really paying attention, these songs have meaning to people that listen to them and listen to the lyrics and know the lyrics, right? It's not just noise. It's not just heavy metal noise. And Ozzy would have been the first to admit, in fact, I saw an interview with him where he said he had done several ballads. The people might have only seen, one side of Ozzy, the heavy metal rock performer, Ozzy, who he said he was a madman on stage. Other people have said he's a madman on stage, pulling his pants down on stage and cursing and carrying on and doing all these antics. And Ozzy also had his demons. He had an addiction to alcohol. He had an addiction to drugs. He had an addiction to sex. I didn't know that. I had no idea that he had that addiction. I knew, a lot of times in the world of fame, alcohol and drugs unfortunately go along with it, as well as other things. But anyways, I'm seeing people come in and out of here and stuff. So I'm glad to see that people are, popping in here at least to see what good old Dana's doing tonight. But I think what we're going to do, folks, first of all, I meant to try to find a link for you guys and gals that don't own a copy of Trick or Treat, but you want to watch along with me, right? So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a full movie of it, which like I said, I should have tried to find that beforehand. Sorry about that, folks. It is available on Screenbox. I noticed if y'all have a subscription to Screenbox. I'm going to try the little trick that Steve told me. Give me a second here, folks. See if we can. So apparently, it's available through Screenbox Prime Video channels, or you can rent and or buy it on Amazon. So I was hoping that I could find a YouTube link, but I am not seeing one. So again, apologies for that, folks. I was looking through here just to make sure. All right. So hopefully, hi Drake. It's going pretty good today. How is I hadn't really asked everybody else. How is everybody else doing tonight? So we're just about to get ready to watch Trick or Treat. And I will say, for those of you that are not familiar with my watch alongs, because of YouTube's stringent copyright rules, I am not able to stream this live for you folks. So I am watching along on my copy, the Blu-ray copy of this. And if it is available through Screenbox, if you have a Screenbox subscription, it is available to buy and or rent from Amazon as well. Okay. I didn't do my homework. Apologies. I didn't do my homework on this. So we're getting ready to start Trick or Treat. For those of you that will be watching along, I'm queued up 11 seconds in. It has this stone looking creature face that's showing up on here. So I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get queued up that's going to be watching along with me tonight. And that's not to say that you can't bring up stuff about Ozzy during the watch along. I just wanted to open up this Ozzy tribute with giving everybody an opportunity to bring things up if they wanted to. Keep in mind also that I do have the StreamYard link in case you would like to join me live on the stream tonight. Like I said, the only prerequisite is that you must behave. And I think everybody knows what that means. Okay. So, and my husband was in here a little bit earlier, but he couldn't stay because I think he's getting a little sleepy today. So in a couple of minutes, we'll go ahead and do the countdown and get started with this watch along. And as I said earlier, I understand SummerSlam is going on this weekend. And for you big time wrestling fans and I'm not making fun of you, but those of you that must watch all wrestling things live when they're happening, I understand. But you can watch this on the replay if you would like. That's the great thing about YouTube, is that hopefully this will stay up there for some time to come, if not forever. Unless I die and somebody takes my Deadites on Deck YouTube channel down. Also, if I don't have anybody on the stream with me to take up the conversation, if I have to take a bathroom break or whatever, then I will simply have to take myself out of the stream temporarily, which I always have to do because I drink too many of these, too much, zero sugar Mountain Dew, and or I may have to just get something to eat. I am diabetic, so sometimes my blood sugar starts running low and I have to go get something. If somebody does join me later on, then groovy. I can leave them to entertain you guys and gals while I take care of whatever I need to take care of. Also, I have 5 dogs in the house, so it's possible that one of them may need to go outside or come back inside or whatever. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the movie started. We're going to do the countdown. But again, you can continue to share Ozzy stories during the watch along. There's no rule here that says that you can't talk about Ozzy during the movie. Okay? Because Ozzy is in the movie. I mean, you can talk about him all you want. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. And we are off and running. Probably seeing the DEG, De Laurentiis Entertainment Group logo. Also, I would like to say that, hey, Daniel, I would also, what was I going to say? I was going to say my brain just is mush anymore. I was going to say that for a long time there was and I don't know if this is the cut that was used, but there was a very good HD print of Trick or Treat under the title Ragman, which is Mark Price's pen name or whatever on this movie. And for many of you, you probably realize that Mark Price also played Skippy on Family Ties. There could be no two characters that are further apart for me than his character in this film and the character of Skippy in Family Ties. Yeah, Daniel, Bully's in a rock and roll supernatural villain. Speaking of Ozzy, I'd forgotten there was an Ozzy Osbourne poster in his room. And this, of course, was directed by Charles Martin Smith, who was also known as an actor. And we see that he is writing a letter to his idol, Sammy Kerr. And Sammy Kerr, played by Tony Fields, unlike Ozzy, I think the character of Sammy Kerr was dabbling in some nefarious things, devil worship and stuff like that. So Eddie Weinbauer, Mark Price's character in this, is, even though I wasn't a heavy metal person when I was in school, I always felt like an outsider and never felt like I fit in. Maybe my last year of high school, but otherwise, I just never felt like I fit in. I was not really bullied in high school. I was made fun of a little bit, but not to the extent that Eddie is in this film. But I always felt apart. And I think that's probably why this movie resonates with so many people. Because let me tell you, folks, there are very few people that are popular in high society. Most of us are down in the trenches. Most of us felt like Eddie at one point in time. Drake, you said I heard that stuff too. Yeah. Yes, Ozzy and Gene Simmons are both in this film, Daniel. And can you imagine, folks, the utter humiliation, especially for a guy that, all he wanted to do was get his cassette tape back. And these guys pulled his towel off, caused him to be in the gym naked in front of the girls. They're taking Polaroids of him. And this is when the character of Leslie, played by Lisa Orlini, realizes what damage they could be doing to Eddie. And I asked my husband this when we did a commentary for this film a few years back. That did he think that a film like this would get made now? And I would fear that a movie like this wouldn't get made because of the heavy atmosphere that pervades the film, especially here when Eddie is talking about, he's writing to Sammy Kerr and he's telling him, sometimes I think about ending it all. And I think this brings up a very important point, or it does to me, that so many musicians, Ozzy had gotten blamed for kids killing themselves, young people killing themselves. Judas Priest had gotten blamed for young people killing themselves. But I think that this film made a point just with that letter. It's obvious that Eddie is not thinking about ending his life because of music he listened to. It's the way he's being treated at school. And I think that's very valid. And I think that is something that should be talked about. But, people are always looking for a scapegoat, aren't they? And I'm not meaning to sound mean about parents that have lost their children to suicide. That's a horrible, horrible thing. But you need to look inward and figure out, why did my child do this? And you may never figure it out for sure. But you can't go around blaming popular culture for things like this. You have to look deeper. You just have to look deeper. And I'll get on my soapbox now. So now we're seeing Eddie seeing footage of Sammy Kerr and then realizes that Sammy is dead. He burned up in a hotel fire. And now we hear Tear Down the Walls playing by Fastway, who does the majority of the music for the film. And I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in this state of mind that Eddie is right here. But I always wondered why he tears all his rock posters down. Because I just don't think I could do that. So he goes around tearing every one of his rock posters down until he gets to the one of Sammy Kerr. And then he can't do it. So we're getting the introduction to Gene Simmons' character right now of Nuke, who, like I said earlier, is the DJ for this radio station in Eddie's town. And Eddie is really friendly with Nuke, and apparently has come to, goodness, I think that was my heat press cooling down because I had been working on this T-shirt earlier. Um, yeah, Drake, that's a good point. That's a valid point that he's just a kid, and really he is. Um, so this, to me, Mark Price is perfect for this role. He is perfect for the role of Eddie Weinbauer. And here's why I think it is for me. These these intense looks he has. Even though Nuke is saying, Eddie, you didn't know him. You didn't know Sammy. I did. Um, he was angry. He was always angry. Um, but, when somebody is trying to maybe tell you the truth about your heroes, and I'm not saying that that is true about all heroes, that there is a dark lining somewhere. But in this case, it is. And Nuke's trying to tell him, he started to believe his own hype. He did this to himself. But Eddie is beyond listening to anything of that sort. His hero, his idol is gone. That's all he can think about. That's right, Gory Tiger, Ragman. But Nuke knows how much Eddie respected Sammy. So this is what he's got in his hands right there is the last album that Sammy Kerr ever did. And we're going to find out that he's going to give this album to Eddie. And again, if there's any of you that have, maybe left and come back in, or you come in later, if y'all want to share stories of Ozzy while the movie is playing, I don't have a problem with that. Share all you want. Favorite performances, if you got to see Ozzy live, if you ever got to meet Ozzy, if you're feeling a certain way about Ozzy's passing, please share. Nobody's gonna, make fun of you in here, and if they do, they won't be in here very long. Oh, be careful, Drake. You say you're high right now. You're just listening to the audio of the movie. Um, don't go out driving or anything. Stay home. So Leslie is going to invite Eddie. She's trying to, make amends because she realizes that they went way, way over the line with Eddie. And she wants to make him feel included. So she says, are you coming to the pool party tonight? She's, trying to be friendly with him. You say, I won't, don't worry. Okay, cool. And two, with Drake mentioning that he was listening to the audio of the movie, um, when you're watching it in the comfort of your own home and you're not live on the stream with me where the audio can be played back, that is fine. Me, because I'm live on the stream and I'm sitting here watching this, I've got the subtitles on. I would love to have the audio playing a little bit, but again, I know that YouTube will get me for that. So Eddie is at the pool party. I agree, Daniel. This film does deserve more recognition. And I think, thanks to Michael Felsher and Red Shirt Pictures, who him and his company were very instrumental in getting this released. I think that that allowed it to get a little more recognition. But yeah, I think everybody should see this movie. Everybody. Even if you don't like horror movies, you should try it. Because even if people don't like horror movies, they might like rock music, they might like heavy metal music. Generally, for a lot of people, though, horror and heavy metal go hand in hand, or horror and rock music in general. And I apologize if I ever get quiet during this, and I get into the movie, because sometimes I find myself doing that, and I'm like, oh, I better be talking about this movie a little bit more. Drake, I am too. I'm an old school horror fan from a very young age, probably so young that I shouldn't have been watching some of these things. Um, but a lot of us have said that over the years. I watched whatever when I was probably too young to be watching it. I mean, my parents would pretty much let me watch most anything. There were, things like I Spit on Your Grave, which I've talked about before, um, that I'm glad that they didn't let me watch when I was young. I just thought it was a horror film. I didn't realize until much, much later what the impact or the implications of that film actually were. Or Last House on the Left, stuff like that. But speaking of those two movies, the next Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest, the original I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left will be the movies. But there will be viewer discretion is advised. That's all I'm saying right now. Daniel said, say good old school horror, The Sentinel, good supernatural horror, Superstition, and the Convent. I've seen Superstition. I love that one. I've seen The Sentinel, but it's been several years ago. I need to go back and watch it. I can't remember if I've seen The Convent or not. Right. You say my dad didn't care what I watched as long as I got good grades. Yeah, yeah. And parents, or they should know their kids. And they know what they can handle and what they can't handle, right? So Eddie had a bad night at the pool party. So he is back home and he's put on Sammy's last album that he got from Nuke. And I always thought that this imagery here, like this dream or whatever it is that Eddie has of Sammy and his bandmates basically burning up, is very creepy. It's very, very unsettling. And then that close up of Sammy's face on fire. And then Eddie wakes up to hear backwards speaking, or what would come to be known as backwards messages on albums. And everybody knows the stories about that. As early as the Beatles albums, they were saying, "Oh yeah, listen to it; it'll tell you Paul is dead or whatever." So when he plays the record in reverse, and here's the message, it says, "Let the big fish hook themselves. You're the bait. The bait is you." This starts Eddie down a dark hallway that gets darker as time goes on. Yeah, there over the years there have been several instances of supposedly backwards messages being on records. So Eddie thinks that Leslie set him up. Sorry about the noise, folks. Something on Facebook. Um, so Eddie just dumped a whole plate of spaghetti on the main boy. Tim. Yeah, I always felt sorry for the character of Eddie too, because Eddie has a lot of emotions that he goes through during this film. And uh, just when he thinks that he has solved this problem of being put upon at school, he realizes he's got a bigger problem than that. And we're going to see that as Sammy Kerr appears to come back from the dead and is causing all kinds of havoc. Oh, yay. Oh, dude, that's what you get. So then Eddie proceeds to let his friend hear this. And his friend's not impressed. He just says, "Well, it's loud, fast, and thrashing," basically. Yeah, Roger's not really listening to anything Eddie's saying. Drake, you say, "Dude, I can so hear Eddie's voice right now." Are you still listening to the audio for the movie, Drake? I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, if you've got the audio playing up, well, there's a Eddie scene on here right now. So Roger tells him he's fallen for the biggest gimmick in record history. So basically, he's telling him, they're hoping you'll buy more records. They're hoping you'll mess up your records by playing them uh, in reverse and have to, and screwing them up, and then you'll have to buy more. And he tells him, Eddie, your cage is starting to shake loose. Drake, you say, well, yeah, but it's blurry because I'm watching the stream. Gotcha. I think Steve said he had a stereo set up like this when he was younger. So now Eddie is starting to converse with Sammy through the record. And I don't know about anybody else, but it always seemed like an addiction to me. Like an addiction was starting. And so it's saying Metal Machine 66 Crush. Just keeps saying that over and over again. And apparently that means that the metal shop class or whatever it is in room 66 at the school. Well, yeah, Drake, I think at this point, Eddie is obsessed with Sammy. Um, but this obsession is soon going to change to fear. Um, and speaking of obsession, there's a big difference between um, having adoration or being a fan of someone and becoming obsessed. Um, and Eddie changes over time, and I love the character of Eddie Weinbauer. I do, but he is at this point in the film heading towards an obsession. Um, And that's a dangerous line to walk because it's too easy to cross over one side or the other and go too far out there. Now, am I saying all fans of different musicians are obsessed? No, I'm not saying that. But you have to have, it's okay to be a fan of somebody. This is my opinion only, folks, too. It's okay to be a fan of someone or their work, whether it's a musician, a writer, a movie director, an actor, an actress, whatever. But there has to be a line that you don't cross. For example, with Ozzy Osbourne, when he was still alive, I'm sure that there were people that tried to cross that line instead of, you know, waiting to see him perform or hoping that they would have a chance to meet him someday. They show up outside of Ozzy's house uninvited. And I've been going back recently and watching the Osbournes. Um, and I believe it is in the second season. It might be at the end of the first season. Ozzy's son Jack is turning the sprinklers and stuff on people that come to their gate and are just standing out there. Now, I don't know that Ozzy would have been happy about that. I didn't ever see that he said one way or the other, but you know, but in a way, what Jack did was kind of valid. That was that was Ozzy's home. That was Ozzy's family's home, and people did not really have a right to come up and be standing outside of the gate to his house. You know, it'd be one thing to be invited to somebody's house, but give them their space, give them their privacy. I know they're famous people, but I still think that they deserve privacy. Some people think that famous people don't. They forfeited their right to privacy when they became famous, but I don't feel that way. And again, these are all just my opinions on things. These are, everybody can have their own opinion about stuff. But the Eddie character is not a bad character. He's not a dangerous character. What Eddie has done is he's gotten caught up in the um, the hype of Sammy Kerr. Just like Nuke was saying earlier, Sammy started to believe his own hype. And that was a volatile combination because Sammy was also a very angry person. So right now, Eddie is just pumped up. You know, score one for the good guys kind of deal. Um, but again, he's walking a very dangerous line because, as we saw in that earlier scene, um, he did what Sammy's voice said on the record. And Tim almost got killed in the process. I got to ask this for those of you that have listened to a lot of heavy metal music. Have you ever, because this is going to come up here soon, his mother is going to accidentally turn the record player on or the stereo on. And she's already becoming unnerved seeing these record albums in in her son's room. Um, and this is an example of a parent who really maybe didn't see what their kids were into. But I'm just curious, has anybody ever played music so loud that it's broke glass? Because she's she's furiously trying there with the glass there. I didn't know if that was just a fictitious thing or has that ever really happened. I know stuff can break the sound barrier, but can it break glass? Drake, you say you haven't, but that'd be cool. So Eddie is becoming more and more immersed in this album, the songs in the key of death, Sammy's last album. And he keeps, now he's lighting candles and um, he's pretty much gonna summon Sammy into life at this point. But once he starts really getting deep into this, so here's another thing. I know that you could copy records, but I don't. Does anybody know? I mean, Steve told me he didn't think it could copy it that fast. It wouldn't copy it like that. And also, when he takes the cassette out, it's black. I believe it was white when he put it in the player. And we also found out that Sammy Kerr went to the same high school as Eddie, but that he wanted to come play the Halloween dance, and the school said no. You're not coming here, and you're not doing this. And then Roger, evidently, as most guys would do, if given the opportunity, likes looking up the cheerleader skirts when they're on ladders. I would like to share a story about Mark Price. I haven't met him yet, but I'm hoping to meet him this month, August 23rd, I believe it's a Saturday. Steve and I are going to make our way to the Skyline Drive-In up in Indiana. And they're going to be screening Trick or Treat at the drive-in, and Mark Price is going to be there. And he's going to be doing some kind of stand-up comedy thing, but I think he's also going to do a commentary for this film, and I'm just really looking forward to it. Now, I'm sure in light of Ozzy's recent passing, I'm sure that Ozzy Osbourne will there'll be some kind of tribute to him there as well. So, gang, I hate to, but I'm going to have to take a restroom break because I know there's a big scene coming up here. Hopefully, I'll make it back by the time that happens. But if I don't, y'all keep watching, y'all enjoy, and I will be right back. All right, gang, I am back. I think I missed that big thing. He's looking pretty spooky there, but I think he is starting to realize that something's not really right in all this. Because Tim's girlfriend, Jeannie, just got sent to the hospital because she was listening to the tape that Eddie made, and some kind of really ghoulish creature caused harm to her. And I hope y'all don't mind, but I'm eating a ice cream cone here. So apparently, Sammy is interested in cheap thrills now. That was his answer to what happened to Jeannie. So this is where Eddie makes a turning point. He's getting worried. And then Sammy's voice says, nail them. And he says, it's getting serious. You know, she had to go to the hospital. I didn't drop that on my foot. So now Eddie's saying we should end it. You know, we should stop this. I don't want to do it anymore. To which Sammy says, no wimps, no false metal. So then Sammy says, Leslie. So at this point, Eddie knows that things are getting out of control. So now Sammy's able to mimic Eddie's voice, asking his mother to come in. We're also going to realize that Sammy, who has come back from the dead, is able to travel through, electrical devices or radios and televisions and stuff like that, and stereos. We've also got some really cool effects here. The Pepsi can falling over and falling onto the record, and it kind of bubbling up, and the what looks like veins coming onto the speakers. And then it appears that Sammy is trying to come out of the speakers. Sorry, gang. These ice cream cones that I've gotten as of late have they're drumstick cones, but they've come cracked and stuff like that. And so I'll just be sitting there eating them, and pieces start falling off of it and everything. Uh-oh, and there he is. And again, this the individual playing Sammy Kerr is Tony Fields, who was a solid go dancer, and he was a really, really nice guy. But I think that he relished playing this role, and I think he plays it very, very well. I think Bruce Campbell said it best when he said that the most reprehensible people on films are some of the most nice, sweetest people in real life. And there is Ozzy Osbourne as Aaron Gilstrom, the reverend that is against this rock music. And then Sammy said, "You should be loyal to your heroes. They can turn on you." I'm sure that's true to some extent about some of our heroes. So now Eddie's going to proceed to beat the hell out of his stereo here and break it into 1,000 pieces. And his answer to, "What have you done to your stereo?" is, "I wanted a new one." Well, now Eddie is grounded, but he needs Roger to go get the tape out of Tim's car, and he's got to destroy it. I would, first of all, I would never do this as a way to break into somebody's vehicle, but I'm just curious if this will work, what he's doing. I always thought this scene was funny because he didn't do what Eddie said, he didn't destroy it. And to top it off, he's planning on playing it. But he lies to Eddie and tells him that he did. That guy's a court low. So Roger turns it on and he's going to go make him a chocolate peanut butter milkshake, apparently. Hey, Raj. So what Sammy wants Roger to do is play his tape with the Halloween dance. I thought this was funny when he pulls that woman out of the TV and she just breaks into a million pieces and looks burnt up. And then we see Roger trying to vacuum up this what's left of that woman. And apparently this is Eddie's mom's boyfriend, Stan. Hold on, gang. Oh, sorry, gang. Oh, So Roger has made his way to the Halloween party at the high school. So Leslie comes up behind Roger and wants to know if he's going to play some Judas Priest. So, because of Eddie's experiences throughout this film, especially as of late, he, he decides to turn on something other than rock music. But even he can't listen to this. He said even death is preferable to this shit. So Leslie calls Eddie and he doesn't tell her he's grounded. He says he's sick and he can't come to the Halloween party. So Eddie is hearing some very familiar music, some backwards music, and he's like, "What is that?" And she says, "Some tape Roger brought." And Eddie's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get there." This little cute little girl here who was waiting for some trick or treat candy, and Eddie puts the whole bowl in her treat bag. Oh no, Sammy's at it again. He's going to take over Eddie's car. Because remember how I said that Sammy could travel through radios and uh, televisions and things of that sort? Well, the car radio comes on, and yeah, it's game over. So, as usual, I like to tell y'all periodically where we are in the film. So, we're getting to almost to the last quarter of the film. Um, and there's going to be a lot of action and stuff like that at this point. Um, as is usually the case with movies like this during the uh, final minutes of the film. I believe that is Charles Martin Smith playing the principal there. Or maybe not the principal, but he's the teacher. So he's introducing the band, the Kickers, who, for those of you with a sharp eye and are interested in special makeup effects, the lead singer for this band, the Kickers, is none other than Kevin Yeager. He's about to get taken out by Sammy Kerr. And this is, I think, at the point where the film just really kicks into high gear, pulls out all the stops, takes no prisoners, however you want to say it. I actually have this Trick or Treat album that came out not very long ago on vinyl. And it, for those of you that have enjoyed the resurgence of vinyl in the last few years, um, you'll know what I mean if you've listened to this album. And I actually, oh, excuse me, got in the mail today Ozzy's Bark at the Moon album. It's the 40th anniversary one that was put out with the cobalt blue vinyl. So I'll have to let y'all know how that sounds. So now things are going to get bad here because Sammy's going to start taking people out. Well, there went Mr. Wembley. Does anybody ever know what happened to Lisa Ortolini? I mean, this is the one movie I remember her in. But she had that look, that 80s look that she could have been the good girl in a lot of these teen films, not only a teen horror film, but, a teen comedy or something like that. So unfortunately, Eddie got there too late to stop the mayhem. So Eddie's decided they need to make sure the power gets turned off. And he needs Roger to help him. No, she's not okay, doofus brain. Tim is not a good person. If you haven't figured that out yet. Oh, goodness. Gotta stretch, folks. So Eddie's actually trying to help Tim here. He's trying to save him from getting killed. Not too late. Apparently, he can come through speakers too if he wants to. So they're asking this girl what the suspect looked like, and she says Sammy, and the cops are talking. Well, the younger cop is like Sammy Kerr. Sammy Kerr died last week. So we are officially at the final 20 minutes of the film. So we're a little less than a quarter away from the end of the film. I wanted to remind everybody that's in here, if you're interested in the chat and um, talking about Ozzy, or wanting to talk about any, concerts you went to, if you ever got to meet Ozzy, maybe some of his favorite performances for you, favorite songs for you, anything you want to talk about Ozzy related. Um, and I will stay on after the film is over if people want to talk. But if, after a few minutes, if nobody's talking about anything, I'll probably go ahead and tie this one up. But I am pleased that several of you were chatting in the chat, and I've seen people pop in and out of here throughout the duration. So that was all nice. And like I always say, for those of you that didn't get to watch this live, you can always watch it on the replay. So Nuke is supposed to be playing this album at midnight, and he can't get a hold of Nuke. He was trying to get a hold of Nuke. I don't think Nuke's going to be around when they get to the radio station, honestly. Always like that lunch of the dead. And if you remember from earlier in the film, when Nuke gave Eddie the actual record, he's like, well, no way, man, you're going to play this on the radio on Halloween. He said, I've got it recorded. It's all on tape. So apparently, it's set to automatically play at midnight. Either that or Sammy made it automatically start playing, one of the two. And there is Sammy. So right now, Sammy is kind of free to jump in and out of every place he can. He said this cops also have one strange son of a bitch. Apparently, nothing affects Sammy, including stun guns. But he can make things very bad for anybody that crosses him, as we've seen what happened to that cop there. So apparently you can't watch all the radios and stuff like that all at the same time. Eddie is trying his best here. He's got a lot of radios and stereos and stuff in the house. Did Sammy escape from the radio in the shower? Let me see how many of you that are still in here actually had little battery operated radios in the shower back in the day. I never did that. In the last few years, I've had a little, this little guy here, which is a Bluetooth speaker. I've had him playing in the bathroom before. This doesn't look too good for Sammy here. Gang, I'm going to walk over here and pull the shade down because it's starting to get dark and there's really no natural light coming through here anymore. I like to have as much natural light as I can. But eventually, around 9 p.m. in the summertime, it starts getting darker out. So Eddie was trying to hotwire his mom's car, but again, Sammy's not having any of that. So this is Eddie's redemption here. When he tells Leslie, he said, "I started this. I have to stop it. I have to end it." Apparently, everybody has been taken out at the good old radio station. So the tape of Sammy singing and doing the backwards messages and stuff is being protected by electricity. So Eddie figures out that he has to get Sammy to leave the radio station. So he he tells Leslie to stand outside the radio station and he's going to lure Sammy out. And when he's gone, then she needs to go and get the tape and destroy it. So he's baiting Sammy to come out. He says, "You're Rock's chosen warrior, come on." He said, "How about that toilet, huh? You looked a little flushed back there." He's like, "Huh, dead man, come on." So he's taunting him, he's baiting him. He wants to piss him off, so he'll materialize in the car with Eddie. And he says, "I don't need you anymore. You need me because what are you without your fans?" All these things are really making Sammy mad. So Eddie says, "I hope you can swim." And he proceeds to drive the car off the bridge. And with Sammy being successfully driven out of the studio or the radio station, Leslie is doing what Eddie asked her to. She's destroying everything. She's not only destroying the tape, she's destroying everything. And Eddie is okay. And we're down to just the final few minutes, folks. I want to say I hope that you guys and gals, if this has been your first time watching, I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed it. I also hope that if this is, you've watched it many, many times like I have, that you still enjoyed watching it, even with my incessant rambling going on through it, as this was a watch along. And like I said, when this is over and the credits have rolled, I will, give everybody that's still here an opportunity to speak up and share remembrances of Ozzy. And if you don't get to come in here live at all and you watch this on the replay, hey, comment under the video. I would love to hear everybody's stories and reminiscences about Ozzy Osbourne, because that's what this whole thing was supposed to be about, was to celebrate Ozzy's life, his career, and for everybody to get together and share. So if you want to and share after the fact, I would love it. I will read every comment people put on there, unless it's abusive. Okay. But if it's something about Ozzy Osbourne that you want to share, then by all means, please share. And we are now at the very end of the film. I, as always, will allow the credits to roll. And then I'll give you guys a minute or two. And if anybody doesn't want to share anything or anything like that, I'll probably go ahead and tie things up and get off of here for the night, because I got a few things to do before I call it a night. I want to remind you guys and gals, if you want a t-shirt with this design on it that advertises the Ozzy tribute, says Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, live on Deadites on Deck, you can get this in any color you want. I will put my PayPal email address in here for anybody that didn't get it earlier. And these shirts, as well as other shirts that I have advertised here recently, are $20 a piece plus $6 shipping. If you buy 3 shirts, it's still $6 flat rate shipping. Okay. So if you want to buy 3 different t-shirts off of me, 3 different designs, feel free. Just, send that money to my PayPal email address, evil.dead.chick1976@gmail.com. I've now figured out that I can sublimate on any color t-shirt, even black, folks. So if you want a black t-shirt, this one was meant to be a black one, but I screwed up the first one. That's another story for another day. But I ended up putting it on the green, and I don't think it looks too bad on the green. But, you want it on black, I can put it on black. So if you send the money, $20 plus $6 shipping and handling, it doesn't matter if you get 1 shirt or 5 shirts or 10 shirts or whatever. It's still $6 shipping, okay? And be sure to include your name, your mailing address, and your t-shirt size and the color that you want. Okay, I can basically do any color. Okay, now that I've got some things I need to perfect, but really I can do this process, the sublimation process, on any color shirt now, even black. Also the Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts are available for $30 plus $6 shipping. That doesn't matter if you buy 5 of the Nighty Nightmare shirts. There are several designs that are available and showing up on my Facebook page. They also are showing up in the promo, which I'll be happy to show the promo to you guys and gals.
Do you want to invite to your next slumber party Jason, Freddie, Michael, or just maybe the Driller Killer?
Nighty nightmares, sleep shirts with the Rock it out with Freddie, chill out with Jason, and pig out with Michael. 90 nightmares, add some Sperry to your next slumber party.
Announcing Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts, exclusively available at deaditesondeck.com.
Okay, just wanted to show that commercial again. Again, those are $30 plus $6 shipping. Doesn't matter if you buy 1 or 5 or 10. They come available right now in the designs that you saw. And there is a Ozzy one, in case you guys and gals, I say guys and gals. These are traditionally for gals, but I'm not going to say that the guys might not want one. I'm not going to say a word. If you want to get a nightshirt, but they only come in pink, everybody, with gray, with heather gray sleeves. And keep in mind that these girls that are smiling and surrounding Ozzy are girls of age. I'll just say that. I didn't want any weird things to pop up regarding this image. Okay. Also, and I started to say that I think I've lost everybody. I also have, I'm starting a new series of designs, Spooky Dog and Sebastian, and they meet several different people. So I have created one. Hold on here. I have created one that is of them meeting Ozzy. And you can get this design for $20 plus $6 shipping. Again, please include your name, your mailing address, your t-shirt size, and the color that you want. I can do them on any color, folks, now. So be sure to include all of that when you send your money. And again, that $6 shipping, it doesn't matter if you get 1 shirt, 5 shirts, 10 shirts, whatever. The shipping is still going to be $6. Okay. I do have another design created with Spooky Dog and Sebastian. I'll show that real quick before everybody goes away and stays away. They're probably tired of hearing me talk about these different things, but I like to offer this stuff up. This is Spooky Dog meets Robert Englund. So you can also get this shirt for $20 plus $6 shipping and handling. Just send the money to evil.dead.chick1976@gmail.com. That email address is in the chat for you folks. Be sure, again, to include your name, your mailing address, your t-shirt size, and what color you want. I can do any color, folks. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there. So it looks like I have maybe one person in here. Apparently I've driven everybody else away by talking about my shop and all that stuff. But I do want to say, be sure to visit deaditesondeck.com to look at other designs. These are just new designs, and I haven't had a chance to put them on the site yet, which is why I'm letting you guys and gals know. If you want one of these, there is a way to do it until I put them on the website. Okay. And also remember, I do custom work. So I'm not just a horror shop only. If you've got a music design that you want, if you want your kids, your grandkids, you and your significant other put on shirts or hats or whatever, if you want your pets put on it, the only two things I won't do is pornography and illegal things. Like, I will not make you a shirt that says I sell drugs to your children. I'm sorry, but I won't do that. But most anything else is up for grabs. You just got to fill out the handy dandy form on the homepage of the site. It will send it to my email, and you can let me know what it is you so desire. Also, if you or a friend or family member has a business, a side business, whatever, and you need logos put on shirts or hats or whatever, please hit me up on that form, or simply email me at evil.dead.chick1976 at gmail.com and let me know what it is that you so desire in that respect, and I will work with you to see if we can come up with something that you like. Okay. So I guess I'm going to call it a night, folks, but it has been a pleasure spending time with you guys and gals tonight. I've enjoyed talking about all things Ozzy. I've enjoyed doing the watch along for Trick or Treat. This is probably my second or third one, but this is a movie that I enjoy a lot. And I want to thank Drake and Daniel, Gory Tiger, the poet, Desiree. Don't want to miss anybody. For hanging out in the chat with me tonight. For those of you that didn't feel comfortable chatting, I thank you for popping in and seeing what was going on. What crazy thing was Dana doing tonight? And for those of you that will watch this on the replay, I thank you as well in advance. And please, please, please share all your Aussie reminiscences and stories and how you're feeling and all that. And as long as you're not rude to me, I will read every comment that is put under this video. Okay. So please, please share. That's what it's all about. And also keep in mind that I'm hopefully going to have a full lineup of programming coming up this week, including some more celluloid trash, a new, hopefully, horror fandom. It's a way of life, talking about all things horror collecting. Hopefully I can have Chris on this time. Wednesday will be a new cannon fodder. Thursday and all new. They're all messed up. Friday, there might be a Friday Foolish. We'll just have to see how the land lays about that and how things are going with me and Candace. And I guess that is it for me. As always, I am off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty. It was newly made today. But I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And check out deaditesondeck.com if you haven't. And subscribe if you have not. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. It costs you nothing. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that I am putting out. Hit the like button for things that you particularly like. Tell your friends and family members that you think might enjoy the content I'm putting out. Encourage them to subscribe as well. Because guess what? I get to my next milestone and get to 1,000 subscribers. Me and Candace are going to do some really cool cosplay for you folks. I'm going to do Cheryl from The Evil Dead, and she is going to be Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. We'll probably do that on a Friday Foolish. So I am out of here, gangs. Gang. I mean, not gangs. Gang. Haven't had a drink of alcohol all night long, folks. So I'm just tripping over my words. So have a fantastic rest of your Saturday, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.